Yes, hello, dear Mr. Gouder. I appreciate that you have joined meeting today to share information with my client and with us. The first, could you please introduce yourself with my client?
Thank you very much, Lucy, for this invitation. The pleasure is all mine to be here with you, with your company, US Investment and Golden, IMMI. I think this is a sterling opportunity for me, not only to introduce myself, but as well to introduce my country to your clients. By way of introduction, my name is Charlon Gouder. I'm a lawyer by profession. I specialize in the immigration field, and for the past 4 to 5 years, I have helped hundreds, if not thousands of families, not only to make them believe that there is another home away from home, but more important than that is to make them successful to become Malta's permanent residency.
Yeah. And today I have some questions for you. The first question, what makes you confident that the MPRP is currently one of the most transparent and sustainable residency program in Europe?
When you have seen that during the past years, the Malta Permanent Residency Program has gone from a strength to strength position, it shows that the government of Malta is not only accepting this program, but as well making this program a priority for the economy of our country. The Malta Permanent Residency Program is not only a transparent program, but as well a sustainable program. Let us start with the very beginning. In the case of Malta, unlike other countries, including in the European Union, in Malta you have only one single point of contact. And the one single point of contact, the name of the authority is Residency Malta Agency.
Yeah.
In other countries, you have to keep going from point A to point B to point C with a maybe to get a decision. And the maybe, I am not being sarcastic, because we all know that in other countries of the European Union there are long waiting lists and clients are fuming because they cannot keep on living in this uncertainty. With the Malta Permanent Residency Program, it is not only a lean program, but it is an efficient program, because the time that one needs to wait to obtain a final decision is relatively amongst the shortest, if not the shortest, available right now on the market. With regards to transparency, with Malta, we do not have hidden agendas. You know where you stand with us. Black is black, white is white. No gray in between. And to make sure that this program is being marketed in the right manner to avoid false premises, those authorized to perform these activities in this program, we call them licensed agents. They are professional people like myself who are accredited a license, which will then give me the possibility to sit down today next to you and speak in the most transparent manner of what can be achievable in Malta or not achievable in Malta.
Yeah. The next question, could you share the key policy improvement to the MPRP as of 2026 that have made the application process faster and more safe for investors.
And when I was answering your first question, I said that the Maltese program, the Malta Permanent Residency Program, is amongst the fastest programs. Why? Because the time you need to wait between the submission of the file until the letter of approval, which means the commitment by the government that you are going to be a permanent resident of Malta, is very short. So nowadays, we hail ourselves, we promote ourselves that in a span of 3, maximum 4 months,
Wow.
from the moment you submit the file until you receive this letter of approval in principle, you will not wait more than 3 to 4 months. And that is not enough, because with the Malta Permanent Residency Program, and this is another benefit which no other country in the European Union give this benefit, with the submission of the file and against the first non-refundable deposit or fee, call it what you want, to the government of Malta, clients can come to Malta to give their biometrics, and then they will acquire the temporary residency card. What is the temporary residency card? It will give the applicants all the benefits of the permanent residency card except the nature of the permanency. So from almost day zero, after clients pay the first fee of 15,000 euro, they can come to Malta and they can get the temporary residency card. And with the temporary residency card, it is easier for families to start, should they wish, to prepare for their relocation, to prepare for the education of their kids, to prepare for their banking accounts, should they wish. They can work in Malta. They can open a business in Malta. So you do not need to wait for the entire process to be completed. There are no waiting lists like other countries in Europe. In the case of Malta, once we assess that you are a serious client, a client that you have a big chance that you are going to make it, a client that you will pass our own due diligence test, then you will be invited to come to Malta, make the biometrics, and actually start benefiting from the benefits of the residency in Malta. It gives you as well the Schengen access. So once you get the temporary residency card, you do not need to get a visa anymore to travel into Schengen. You can go wherever you want in the Schengen area without even, you don't need to show your passport anymore. You barely need to show your ID card anymore, because there is a corridor, we call it the Schengen corridor, which allows free access inside the European borders.
Yeah, thanks for your information. The next question, compared to other European presidency program, what advantage does the MPRP offer in terms of investment code, resident right, and freedom of movement within the Schengen, and you consider most important to Vietnamese investors?
This is a very important question, because it all boils down to why Malta is a better program, a better incentive program than other programs. To start with, I have to say that there are no real options in Europe. There are only limited European countries that allow similar, not equal, programs to Malta. Outside the European context, you may find a lot of other interesting or not interesting products on the market. However, if you are really looking towards a European access, you have to go to a European product. And for a European product, looking towards a permanent residency, the only country that allows permanent residency in Europe for up to 5 generations in one application is Malta. For Vietnam, I do understand how family is an important component. And when we designed the Malta Permanent Residency Program, we always kept in mind that this has to be a program for the entire family. And for the entire family, it means that different generations under the same family should be given this opportunity to become a permanent residence of Malta. So again, this is another second important consideration that Vietnamese investors have to keep in mind. It's one thing I want to move along, but it's another thing if with me I want to include my wife or my partner. I want to include my kids up to 29 years old. I want to include my parents and my wife's or my spouse parents, and also the grandparents. And in the future, with the Malta Permanent Residency Program, you have also the opportunity that the wives or the husbands, the partners of my kids, when they become of age, they can also be part of the Malta Permanent Residency Program. So just think for a moment, think about 5 generations under one application with one fee at one go. Can you mention to me another country in the European Union that is giving a permanent residency solution to give this type of opportunity? Unfortunately, no other country. The third option, or the third advantage. Malta is an English-speaking country. And for families looking to relocate, we all do understand that the process is sometimes heavy. It's not like a switch off, switch on, switch off in my country, switch off switch on in the other country. So the first thing that clients, and as I said, during the past 3-4 years, we have received thousands of families in Malta, and we have helped thousands of families in Malta. When they come to Malta, the first thing they will ask, listen, the Maltese people, what language do they use? When you see and you realize that almost 99% of our population speaks the English language, because for Malta, the English language is not a second language. English language is the official language recognized by the Constitution of Malta, which is the highest law. So, laws in Malta are written in the English language. Communication in Malta is made in the English language. Schools, English is the language that is used. Whenever and wherever you go to government departments, you will see signs in both the English and as well the Maltese language. So that is another thing which investors should also consider. Another option, another important consideration: relocating to Malta. Safety. Safety is a very important component for foreigners who are looking to move into another home away from home. Malta is the safest country in the European Union. I would say in the world, you will find places in Malta, villages in Malta, where doors, keys are still at the door, so that when visitors come, they do not need to ring the bell. They actually open the key and they will enter inside the home. Doing business in Malta. Malta, because of its geographical position, it has an excellent opportunity, not only for business in Europe, but because of our position, we are very close to North Africa. Some of the North African countries are closer to Europe than us being close to Europe. But despite that, we are very linked to almost the entire world, certainly to Europe and also to the Middle East country, but then very close to North Africa. So investors looking to find an alternative seat from where they can do business in Europe, but as well into North Africa, Malta is by far the clear answer. Then there is another important component. I have decided to come to Malta, but I need to work. I cannot not work unless I come from a very wealthy and rich family. Malta is the place to be. Why? Because in Malta, we are generating more employment opportunities than have workers. One interesting fact which your viewers have to take into consideration is that in Malta, we have zero unemployment. And by zero, it means that our entire population is almost in fully gained jobs, fully gained occupation. Which also brings us to the point that because of our positive impact on the economy, in 10 years, Malta's economy more than doubled. So we are generating twice as much in Malta that we used to generate from an economic point of view 10, 12 years ago. In fact, we do not have enough employees to cater for this boom into the economy. You will see when you come to Malta, because we are a very cosmopolitan country, that there are a lot of people outside Malta coming to Malta to work from Malta. Then there are other considerations. Healthcare system. Malta has amongst the best healthcare systems, and it was hailed by the World Health Organization during difficult times such as COVID as being amongst the best healthcare systems in the world. And lastly, but not least, is education. When it comes to education, besides our English speaking capacity, we are geared up for international students or international families with international schools, where they can come to Malta and they can have their education in Malta, and then, should they wish, continue their educational pathway outside Malta. For me, these are the most important considerations a Vietnamese resident should think, should consider, if he really wish to start this plan B in the future.
Yeah. Look at the medium to long term. In your opinion, what factor will ensure the stability of the program in the coming year?
This is another important question which investors have to keep in mind. The Malta program is not like the stock exchange, up and down, up and down, up and down. Malta's program is stable. And the only changes there has been during the past years were only changes to the benefits of the program, to the good of the program. So the asset base of the program never changed drastically, which gives long-term stability to the investors looking to invest their time, their money, and their energy into a program like Malta. And this then brings me to another point, that the Malta Permanent Residency Program is here to stay. Why? The government of Malta is supporting this program because the government sees value in this program. The authority is supporting this program and is actually doing marketing itself. The people of Malta, because of our level of tolerance towards immigration, especially the high net worth net worth value clients, immigration, we are very, very tolerant and we do welcome this land. So these are all different components. Our infrastructure does cater for the high net worth individuals who are looking into Malta to make their home away from home. So these are all critical factors which gives the necessary peace of mind, the necessary comfort for investors to think about the program, which they will understand that this is not a program that is there today, but it is going to close tomorrow. But above that, we have to understand that this is a right, not a privilege. Why? Because the basis of this program is a legislation, is law. And because we are a country run by the rule of law, clients should have the legitimate expectation that once they have acquired that right by means of the law, no future governments can take away from them this particular right. So in the future governments, they may close the program because at the end of the day, this can be a political decision. However, no matter what will happen in the future, whoever has acquired this right by means of the law, he or she with the family will have the legitimate expectation that this right will remain with them and no one will take it away from them. So in this manner, I believe that from a medium to a long-term perspective, clients should have the necessary comforts, should seriously consider Malta, that Malta can give them the right solution to their current situation.
The final question, based on your practical experience in handling application in Malta, what advice would you give to Vietnamese investor considering the MPRP so they can prepare their application effectively and avoid unnecessary legal risk?
Well, this is a very important question, and my straight answer to your question is be prepared and start preparing. Our role as your back end in Malta is one, not only to help you attract the right clients, because that is important, but more important than that is to help you source the clients that at the end of the day they will become successful. Because what we are after is not only the number of clients, what we are after is making the client successful. Our goal, our aim is not only to attract the client, but our ultimate goal is to make the client successful. And for that to happen, there is a process which we have to work together hand in hand with the client. The client has to understand that beyond the financial requirements, there is a process not only of collection of documents, but a process from a due diligence point of view. Because this program, from a due diligence point of view, is regarded as amongst the most serious programs that you can ever find in the residency by investment sector. And because of this high level of due diligence makes this program more successful, because there is you can find all in this market. You can find all sort of programs. In the case of the Malta program, we give a lot of attention for the due diligence part from a compliance point of view, source of wealth point of view, source of funds point of view.
Yes.
We are experienced enough to help you understand what can go and what cannot go. Our role is to guide the client in order to make him successful. This program is very flexible. The authorities in Malta are also very flexible, but that doesn't mean that we should expect that anything goes into this program. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
There is a reputation, there is our reputation, and there is the client as well reputation. Altogether, we have to make sure that for the clients to be successful, all the different stakeholders, they have to work hand in hand. And for that to happen, we have to make sure that everything is prepared so that when we said go, the go would actually bring us the results that we are after.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Lucy.
Yeah.
It was a great interview. Thank you as well for your viewers who are watching this interview. I am looking forward to welcome more clients from Vietnam, especially from your company, US Investment, and as well Gouder IMMI company based here in Vietnam.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.